Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Dean Blundell Show podcast, a special podcast, a Saturday podcast today, because we had a busy week trying to make sense of the world, which is fucking not something people should actually do. You should just allow the world to happen. But I couldn't have this conversation by myself, and I couldn't have it with a bunch of dudes. So I brought in two people I respect, two people whose hockey opinion I respect, two people that whose life opinion I respect, two people I respect just by the way that they conduct themselves, and more so than any people in the hockey industry or when it comes to common sense and making sense of the division in hockey culture. And we'll get to why in just a second, but please welcome 20-year coach and one of the funniest people I know, Miss Jennifer Schafero, ladies and gentlemen. Jennifer, hi, nice to see you. Nice to see you. I love the Dark Wolf background you got there. It's very 80s. I love it. And also from parts unknown, I think her house somewhere east of Toronto. Please welcome Miss Sarah Ayres. Ms. Ayres, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm really good. I appreciate you doing this. Is that your podcast home, and is that the spare bedroom? Because everybody has the spare bedroom as their podcast studio.
It is. It's the office that changes from Dave's podcast area to my podcast area. So I tried to make it a little more feminine, but it doesn't work out too well in here with all of his stuff. So
it looks cool. It's you've clearly got memorabilia. This is a fight. And I was looking at what you have back there, which is like a nice touch on sports memorabilia. Go ahead.
We had a lady from Burlington made the one picture of Dave, the collage, and then the other one's a couple tickets and his Upper Deck hockey card that very few people have. So yeah, it sits up there. That's mine. It's coming with me if I ever leave. So
is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So before we get into the conversation, I want to deal with a couple of things. First of all, you talked about this on the PP1 podcast, but there's a Disney movie coming out about the Ayres family.
Yes, there is. James Corden's heading it, and
wow.
We're pretty excited about it.
So James Corden is going to be David Ayres?
Oh, that would be fantastic. I didn't even think of that. Why do you have all these great ideas? That would be amazing. I'm going to tell him that one.
They look so different. I don't know if they can do it. I don't know if they can pull off David Ayres as James Corden.
But James Corden doing everything is awesome, though.
So it's a Disney movie with James Corden, but he's not in it. He's just producing it, and it's a story about your life, or is it a story about the Ayres family, and culminating in that night. Or explain how it's, because I've told you this 1,000 times. It's my favorite story of 2019, 2020. It is still one of my all-time favorite highlights.
Right. So James called us, and we had to sit and do a bunch of different producers listen to their spiels. So we ended up going with James, and he's doing it. It's all in the life of Dave. It's actually leading up to the game. He's had a pretty intense life, and it's pretty cool, the stuff that he's gone through and he's come out of, not really unscathed, but they're going to do a whole story on his life and that. So yeah.
Is that weird because you're both so privite? Dave's a real private
so
guy.
Weird. Yeah, it's so weird. He does a lot better with this stuff than I do. He's come out an awful lot, and he's outgoing guy. He's always been an outgoing guy, but he always keeps things you would never know looking social media wise, in that he's very reserved, very quiet. And I am too. It hit me a lot harder than it hit him. So I think if it was me it all happened to, it would be a little bit different, and you can deal with it differently then. But seeing it kind of on the outside a little bit, I'm still involved, but it still is his deal kind of thing. It's definitely different. So the movie should be interesting as to how it goes. We're both looking forward to it.
Are they going to include your tweet?
I don't know, because it's Disney, so I don't know how they're going to do that. Might be the edited version of the tweet.
Yeah, bleep me.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we haven't had a chance to talk about it, and I'm really thankful for you to just be able to share not just that part of your story, and continuing to share the story, which is one of the greatest stories in the history of sports. Jennifer, how can you deny it? A Leaf employee goes in and kills the Leafs in one night and changes the course of history. It's the greatest NHL moment, as voted on by NHL people around the world.
I'm not even a Leaf fan, and I remember I put the game on, and I'm looking at the net, and I'm like, okay, so something's not right here. And I had no idea what was going on. I just turned the game on and I'm like, Leaf pants, Leaf helmet, Canes jersey. I took a picture of it, took it to Twitter, and I'm like, someone catch me up. And then I got flooded with all this stuff about what happened. And I was just, my mind was blowing up. And I mean, like, I've been following hockey since I was like a foot tall, right? So for that story, I was just blown away. And then everything that happened after. And then you put out a tweet, actually, Sarah, and it made me tear up. And it was just, it was such a feel-good moment for everybody. And I mean, like, even though I'm in Toronto myself, so it was just a feel good story for Toronto fans, for Canada in general. I mean, it was awesome. And then what we saw with the team in the locker room after, more tears. It was great. It was really great. I'm glad that you got that opportunity.
Thank you.
Yeah. Listen, first of all, let me ask you this. Am I allowed, before we get into this conversation, because I have to watch myself, am I allowed to say, thanks for joining me, ladies, or is that bad? Because I'm being serious. Like, can I say, thanks for joining me, ladies, if we start a conversation? Or should that be something I take out of podcast? And I'm being serious.
We're ladies. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I refer to men as gentlemen all the time when I'm doing these sort of things. So yeah, I'm all for it.
Ladies, I'm really thankful you joined me. So let's just quickly get into the genesis of why we're here today. This last week, a female reporter, happened to be female. I didn't even bring up the fact she was female in the article. A female reporter for the Ottawa Senators named Hailey Salvian, who's an excellent reporter. We've maintained that through every single piece that we've written. Suggested that a hockey discussion she was having on DMs with a fan was a gender discriminatory conversation. After I went through her tweet and didn't see any gender discrimination, it was just a hockey conversation. I tweeted her and I said, can you cite where the gender discrimination is? Because I can't seem to find any. Maybe you've got a DM. And not only did she not respond to it, which is fine, I get it. It's probably a little panic in her right there. And then she then deleted it and then said she's just sick of all the negativity. And that started this avalanche of like well wishes from, hockey guys, hockey ladies, the Sarah Sivians of the world, the Eric Engels of the world. And that's wonderful. I think that's great. I think supporting people when they've been discriminated against is a great thing, especially when they said they have. The problem was there was no discrimination. So I asked a question in a post. I said, where are we okay? Or where are we at with faking gender discrimination if it's a female? And I happen to think false accusations are dangerous. I came at it from a perspective of that is really the only point here. I don't care if you're male or female. False accusations aren't helping when it comes to the division of hockey culture. What followed after that, and I wrote that 2 weeks ago, it came out again by mistake, not even by mistake, it was just a computer glitch. And 2 million people crushed our website. I got tweets asking me to kill myself, go hang myself, calling me a chauvinist, calling me sexist. Everyone from Eric Engels to Frank Cervalli to Bruce Arthur, who no one really cares about Bruce Arthur, let's be serious. Blue checkmark brigades that use that as an opportunity to endear themselves to the moment. So it's called virtue signaling. And there's only one person I'd like to spend less time with than a virtue signaler, and that's a serial killer. Everybody else is okay by me. I put them all in the same category because of the damage that it causes. So keep in mind, I'm a big boy. We went through the entire day. We trended #1 in Canada just because I asked a question. So after being called sexist by writers from The Athletic, being told to go kill myself by people that work at Bell and TSN, who then all deleted their tweets, I put out another post with, this is how discourse works in Twitter. But it brought up a bigger conversation. And I'm not entitled to have this conversation as a man by myself. And I wanted to understand exactly what it was that triggered the world, that triggered this segment of hockey society, hockey culture that is so fucking divided. It was like, and that's what I got out of the whole thing. What I got out of it is virtue signaling is like today's currency for old guys looking to make time with young female hockey reporters, #1. #2, the other thing I got out of that was, okay, if we're going to have a conversation about where we're at according to what you can and can't say, depending on the color of your skin and what's between your legs. I need to figure this out. So I would love to get you both of your opinions on the post as it was written and the response. And I'd love to be able to start with you, Sarah, if that's okay.
So I think you're calling her out. I don't think you did it in a finger pointing kind of way and in a way that was degrading to her at all. And I think that what she did was wrong, because sitting here as I view myself as a strong female. I don't ever want to use the sexism card with anything. Like you get to a place in your life because of who you are, not what you've said, how you've, how do I put it? You can't look at things in such a negative way and play off of those things. And the victim mentality has to stop with everything. And you want to get somewhere in life, you show them, you have your credentials to back everything up. So, and I think the way that everybody it's great to have support. I think the support wasn't totally warranted. And I think the people who are using the support that they're showing are doing it for personal gains as well. Like, it wasn't just her in this issue. I think the other people are using it as personal gains to be like, oh, we've got your support. So then they feel like they have the masses coming towards them and being like, oh, this guy's a great guy. Like, he's standing up for women's rights and everything else. This isn't a matter of women's rights. This is 100% not a matter of women's rights. This is, you took something completely out of context, and who knows the person that sent it to her and that, right, how they're dealing with all of this as well. Like, it's not just this isn't a one-way street with all of this. And I think it was totally unfair how it was all played out.
Jennifer, what do you think? Your take on the comments in the statement, which was, as Sarah, the point was false accusations. That's it, nothing else. And then what happened after that?
Well, I mean, I seen her tweet originally, like when she actually tweeted it, and it was already at about 5,000 likes. And I know Haley, like I said, so I read her tweet, and then I clicked the picture, the screenshot, and I'm reading, and I'm like, okay, not seeing it, but I didn't touch it. I didn't want to touch it because, I pick my battles wisely. I don't get involved. I know I would have been on the receiving end of what you went through. So I was like, forget it. Better to just, scroll on. That being said, with regards to what Sarah said about victim mentality, in a sense, I kind of put myself in that spot when I told my story. And I was really hard. It's literally taken me 20 years, so to speak, to tell my story. The reason I did that was because I wanted people to be more aware of things that actually do happen. And I didn't name any names because I didn't want a war. You know what I mean? I didn't want to cause any hell for the people that caused me hell years ago. Not my thing. It's not who I am. That being said, if you're going to say something, you really have to be able to back up your words, because I think if you don't do that, you lose credibility, but not in this case. And why is that? Because exactly what you both said. These people that are jumping on to support her are doing it for themselves. They're not doing it for anyone else but themselves. And the only problem that I have with all of this is that Haley never addressed any of it herself. I mean, she didn't come out and say, you know what, I made a bad call, right? I'm sure she's gone through hell herself. Most of us women have, to some degree, in a male-dominated industry. But for her not to take any ownership and be like, you know what, I see the error of my ways. It just, she,
or maybe if she would
hit for this, but it just makes me believe that her original tweet was an attention ploy. It was for attention. And I didn't want to have to go there, but I mean, for her not to address it or to defend herself, it just shows nothing but guilt to me. So
is it what is it about that taste of like social justice that people look for. It's not, this isn't a man and woman thing, by the way. What you're describing isn't like a gender specific thing. But Sarah, what is it about, and it's in hockey culture specifically, maybe we see it more in Canada than other people do, but there is a side to this discussion when it comes to gender discrimination in hockey, where there is no room for a factual explanation about each individual incident. There's no, it is a gimme, you know, and I do, when someone says, I believe her, I believe her. I believe it every time someone says they have been sexually discriminated against, they have been racially discriminated against. I have to believe those things. And we're in a society now where if you don't just blindly say, I'm with her, or I'm with them, or this movement matters, and listen, this is a conversation about gender equity. This isn't a conversation about racial injustice. This is a conversation about using gender equity as a weapon. And there's two sides to hockey right now that is so divided. Why is that? Why do we have people that are well-spoken, that are in positions of authority in media, that refuse to actually have this conversation? Nobody wants to.
They're protecting their jobs, you know, like anything when it becomes political, it becomes risky for your position. It's like with Ron McLean. Why didn't he back up Don Cherry? Well, you know, he wanted to maintain his career. So it's this is why I don't like politics in sports, because it just changes so much. And all these people, like, it's kind of best to stay away from it and just focus on the task at hand. Use your platforms in other ways. But I mean, if you're gonna bring everything into the sport, things are gonna get messy, and then we're all gonna get divided, and then hockey culture gets attacked.
I don't know. I think hockey is it's a fantastic sport. It's a male-driven sport. It always has been. And I think the slow creeping in of the females into the industry, I think these broadcasters, anybody who's got, and there's guys that are standing up and there's guys that are saying things, and they're speaking out. But there is this fear that the backlash from certain things is going to make them lose followers, is going to cause the TV stations to have negative ratings, and nobody wants to have negative ratings. We're doing everything we can in certain ways. A lot of things are coming out of the shadows right now, but we're getting hit with everything all at once. It's the racism, it's the sexism. We're all going through this nasty COVID shit. And I think that nobody really knows what soapbox they can stand on. And there's a fear, there's a constant fear that there's going to be so much negative feedback from things. And there's women out there who want the backing. And you bring up Sarah Sivian, and I get along really well with her. Nobody's going to agree with everything everybody says. She's fantastic. The first time I met her, she's lovely. She was lovely to me. And so I can't really go negative into delving with anything like that, because I haven't had any negative experiences with her. But she is somebody she has a firm belief of her morals and her values. And there's quite a few women that are like that.
So that brings me up a question, because Jennifer is steeped in hockey. She knows everybody. She is as supportive of hockey people as you'll ever see. So Sarah Sivian, and listen, I don't know Sarah Sivian. I'm sure she's, again, probably an excellent person. If you like her, I like her. But Sarah Sivian tweeted something yesterday that bothered me. And what bothered me was Jennifer Schafero detailed a lot of the sexual discrimination, sexual and verbal assault that she has had to deal with as a female coaching hockey. And we went into it in a podcast a few days ago, right after this whole thing happened. because there's a question there. The question is, what about people who have actually lived a really nightmarish existence through this sport that they love, who are women? What about those stories that are real? Not a false accusation, but what about a story that's real? So we recorded the podcast. Jennifer talked about some of the things she went through. Someone on Twitter said, hey, Sarah Sivian, who's a reporter for the Carolina Hurricanes, listen at the 31-minute mark of this podcast, and you'll listen to Jennifer's story and why she feels the way she does, and knowing she's gone through the harassment issue she's gone through in hockey. And Sarah Sivian just simply tweeted, no, I don't want to listen to Jennifer's story. And that's where I put my hands up and say, fuck, hang on a second here.
Mm-hmm.
Common sense needs to work into the equation when it comes to who's fighting for fucking what. Some critical thinking needs to be applied here. And we have a woman sitting in the middle, a nice young lady named Jennifer Schafero, who hasn't talked about the worst of the worst. And the things she has talked about have been terrible. But it seems like women in sports media and some of these females who do this job aren't interested in real stories like Jennifer's. They're more interested in the stories as they can play them out on social media. That's what I noticed. And that was a very specific example.
Yeah, it sucked. It kind of cut me deep. That whole thing. It was actually a gentleman that tweeted to a bunch of verified accounts and people in hockey media saying, just give a listen to the 34-minute mark. And there's Anna Packer. I'm not sure the right name. The
Anya
hockey
Packer.
player.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then there was another gentleman, another one of the people that were tagged, and they completely ignored what his request was and went go on to attacking you. And you weren't even really part of it. So I was guilty through association.
Yep.
And nobody took the time. And even when I tweeted at them saying, no, this is about what I said, I was completely ignored. Mm-hmm. That hit me hard because, I mean, we all seek approval to a certain extent. We all want to fit in to a certain extent. And I felt so rejected by my peers. You know, I do hockey media sometimes. I'm accredited with the Leafs a couple of years ago. So I'm up on the gondola with some of them sometimes. And I feel completely rejected and like ignored. And it's like, I didn't come out with this story for attention. Like, you know, the last thing I wanted was people wanting more information and prying, which thankfully didn't really happen. But I mean, if someone else is trying to support me and bring awareness and all these people are just denying it, it's like, so are you for real? Like, what is your angle here? Because you pick and choose what you support. And then I get on the whole topic of hockey's for everyone. Hockey, like all this stuff about being like inclusion and making sure hockey's for everyone. And here's someone that loves the game, who's worked for it since she was 18 years old in every facet and dreams of working in the NHL as a coach, just getting torn apart strip by strip. And minimize,
like you're being told that your story doesn't matter because a white guy chose to take umbrage with something a white female did with a false accusation. Like that's how far that gets turned to the left. Do you know what I mean? Like that's what I don't understand. So if you guys, if and Sarah, maybe you could explain this. If you guys could speak to the division in hockey, false accusations being part of the solution, what is the solution? What is the solution for not just the division in hockey, but people being allowed to critique other people, no matter the color of their skin or as I said before, whether they're male or female?
I don't understand the need for the diversity with it. Like, I don't understand why we need to be sitting there. And again, that's one of those, I am a white female saying this, but I don't understand. This sport is for everybody. And this is what we're preaching with our children in minor hockey. Minor hockey for females has come such a long way from when it was when I was younger. Like we're doing some fantastic things with all of that. But in regards to I think people need to be more credible. Like, you get to where you're going in life with your credibility, with your integrity. You don't carry that through, you're going nowhere. It's going to stop. But I think, I don't know what the answer is with all of it. And I would love to say, you know what, we just have to sit there and stop pointing fingers. We need to sit there and support everybody in the best way that we can. I don't understand the negativity. I don't understand why we can't sit there and pick out the positives, and why we have to just keep going. And I'm not taking Jennifer's story by any means in this whole thing and saying, no, what happened was 100% wrong with her. And I'm not saying that what she's doing is wrong at all. Like, I'm glad she's speaking out, and I'm glad she's coming forward with all of this. And it's got to be heart-wrenching and gut-wrenching to do all this as well. But it's there and it happens. I have not had the negative backlash with hockey at all. And I've been on the executive board with minor hockey. I've coached. My kids have played hockey. My husband plays hockey. I haven't had the negativity in hockey. I've had sexism happen to me outside with work, but never with hockey. So in that sense, I don't know what Jennifer's going through. And maybe it's an issue of, maybe these reporters haven't gone through it to the extent that she's gone through it at all, or even had a little bit of dabbling in it, kind of thing. So maybe it's ignorance on their part. Maybe it's ignorance on all of our parts to not understand what goes on and what people face.
I think people are self-serving. So if it doesn't serve their purpose or fit their narrative, they just stay away from it. And I think that, like, with going off with what Sarah said, we need to stop talking sometimes and just start listening and really hear each other. In today's age, it's all about, people base their value on likes and followers. And it's like, what's the message you're putting out there to all these followers? You'll see on Twitter that people being publicly shamed get hundreds of thousands of likes. And then someone with a nice, good, feel-good story maybe gets 20 to 50 likes. And that's what's wrong here. And I know, and it ties into hockey, the same thing. I mean, until we change the way we look at each other and the world, we're only just going to get worse.
Part of this exercise that I found interesting, that kind of speaks to what you both just said. Sarah Ayres joins us, as well as Jennifer Schafero, two hockey aficionados that I trust, and two individuals that whose relationships I value because they're very genuine people. And one of the things that struck me about this is and you pointed it out, you're fucked if you do and fucked if you don't. You're fucked if you support somebody. You're fucked if you don't support somebody. And I can see it from the side of the Sarah Sivians of the world, or, the Eric Engels of the world, or the people that chose to blindly disregard the false accusation that she made against this man who was simply trying to have a hockey conversation. And I don't know if it's an appropriate thing for me to draw a parallel with, but if I accuse somebody of being racist publicly, if I said this person is racist, this person I had an exchange with is racist, and I don't have receipts for it, I'm in deep trouble. Like, I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble legally. I'm in trouble morally. I'm in trouble because I've misrepresented something that could destroy that human being's reputation. So what that then did after the whole thing, and my reputation I could give two shits about, because it's bought and paid for. You are accountable according to what you're accountable for, and you can tell the truth or not. You either have done something wrong and could learn from it, or you don't. This was a very different situation. This is a fact-finding mission, as opposed to me saying, look, I'm right. I've got two of the greatest female hockey minds on the planet on a podcast with me, not to bolster an opinion. I want to find out how the fuck we fix it. And can someone like me and other people that have real issues with the meritocracy, the actual fucking issue at hand, not the people involved, but the issue of making a false accusation, because people can say you can't turn it around and say if a guy did that, but I'll tell you what, if a guy falsely accused someone else, doesn't matter. If a man did what Haley Salvian did with a false accusation, they would be ratioed into oblivion. It would, and I don't feel sorry for men. We got it fucking coming. We earned this. We earned this, and not me, but a lot of, white assholes have misrepresented us for a very long period of time. Those of us that actually want to learn something and want to be part of the solution and want to have a good time and drive traffic or drive share or whatever it is that you do with a media entity like this. But there's a bigger, and I've said this time and time again, there's a bigger conversation here, because if we're not learning about how to be a little more sensitive when it comes to communicating, because that's how I look at this now. Do I have something to learn from this? Fuck, absolutely I do. As a human being and as someone who really, truly wants equality across the board when it comes to women in the workplace, when it comes to black and white, when it comes to minority and how people are perceived. I don't ever want to be that person that stands there and goes, hey, fuck, look at that. There goes those women again. I don't think that way. I don't feel that way. I don't feel like all drivers of a certain ethnicity are bad drivers. I don't play into those stereotypes. What I want to do is try and answer the question, which is, how can a fucking person who understands the people involved be sensitive to women in this industry, at the same time be allowed to have an opinion on what someone does when they happen to be female? And is this just one of those things where you just shut up and listen?
I don't even know how to respond to that. I mean, it shouldn't be. I mean, everyone should be able to ask their questions and talk about things that, they want to see change. But I mean, like you said, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. And, how do you approach things? How do you do things politically correct or socially correct? Or how do you address issues where you're not going to upset or insult or offend the masses? Like, I mean, God, we've lost the art of being able to converse without attacking and insulting each other. So how do we bring up sensitive issues? Well, we just make people uncomfortable. It's all we can do. And we just keep talking about them. And eventually,
it's my specialty.
What's that?
It's my specialty, making people uncomfortable. I do it all the time. I walk into a room.
But you know what I mean? Like, talk about things that make people uncomfortable, but in a way that, might help change their mind. I mean, we can't just sit on it. It's not going to go away. But there's always a way to find. I've always said, to every problem, there's multiple solutions. You just got to figure it out.
But this is where it all stems from, is everybody is sitting there and they're focusing on the problem. You don't see one person that's turning around and saying, okay, you know what, this is the solution. And it's something as simple as what we teach our kids. Like, my kids will come to me and be like, oh, this happened. It's okay. But what are you going to do to fix it? And that's never an issue with any of us. Like, and I don't mean any of us, but in the grander scheme of things, that's just how it is. Like, we don't sit there and think we need to work towards this solution. It's right now we're in the part of, well, this is the problem and this is what's going wrong. And that needs to stop. And I think until we all do that, I don't think any of this gets fixed. And to be honest, I was a little bit nervous in doing this podcast for the simple fact of, I look up to people like Tara Sloan that can sit there and they can voice their gender equality, and she strives so hard for it. And then I see people like Haley Wickenheiser, who does the Leafs practices, who has worked her tail off. And I don't know what she's faced coming into all of this and to get to where she is, even Barb Underhill and Randy Milani, who works with her. These women, the guys that work with them and the NHL guys, they love them. Like, they're one of the guys, they're in the dressing room, they all shoot the shit together. I don't know if they've faced any of this stuff, but I know that they've worked their tail off to get to where they are. And I think that just speaks for itself. Like, you know what? I want to be a good person. I want to be the best person that I possibly can. And I'm going to do everything to be that person. But I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to blame John Doe for my issues. I'm just going to do what I can to get to where I need to be for myself. But we've got to stop this whole negativity and this whole name blame stuff is just it's gotta go out the window.
I agree with you, but I also like harnessing it from time to time.
Not you, Dean.
Yeah, but and therein lies, and what a great point you made, about individually everybody, not depending on sex, being accountable for yourself and your own successes. And I said this, I say this all the time, is when it comes to being caught doing something wrong, or when it comes to doing something wrong, or when it comes to trying to make good on something that you've done that might not have gone well, which is how I look at things. I don't look at what Haley Salvian did as a fucking an egregious assault on humanity and men. I don't. I look at it like, okay, we got a fucking teachable moment here. So where are we with being allowed to level a false accusation at someone for gender discrimination when there clearly wasn't any?
Yep. Nope. This is a perfect opportunity to sit there and be like, okay, this shouldn't have happened. And nobody sets out their day to be like, you know what, I'm going to be the shittiest version of myself. And if you do, then there's major issues with you. But we all
Steve
learn.
Simmons does. Steve Simmons does.
Oh, okay. He's the exception to the rule. That's a whole.
Steve
other
Simmons
podcast.
wakes up with like an entire Bristol board full of ways he's going to be an enormous piece of shit. Him and Bruce, they call each other. You know how people call and go, "What are you wearing today?" I don't know. What are you wearing today? They go, "How can I be an asshole today?" I don't know. What are you doing to be an asshole today? Just an uninformed tool. That's all. I'm going to start calling people sexist and having a great time. Okay, Steve, what are you going to do today? I don't know. I think I'm just going to take a big shit on Joe Thornton for no specific reason whatsoever. Great. Let's just go be assholes and be great at it. Super duper. Those guys intend, they wake up with the express purpose of being a huge piece of shit. So outside of those two guys, you're right. If you wake up going, you know what, today I'm going to shake the world up by being a prick, you're not a happy human being.
No, you're not. You're not at all. I don't know. Welcome to Toronto, Joe Thornton.
What do you make of that, ladies? I would love to get your opinion on Joe Thornton. $700,000, takes a massive discount, comes here, he'll get 30 points. He's an actual leader who knows exactly what to do with the core that's here. And everybody shit on him for 10 hours last night on Twitter.
Well, it was all the young people. It was the young people that don't know him. Joe Thornton's my favorite player in the league. I followed him from Boston to San Jose, became a Sharks fan. I'm happy for him going to Toronto. I know the value that he has. I mean, look at it. He's one of the best passers to ever play the game. And that he has a skill of making people around him better, look better, and be better. He's going to have that same effect in the locker room, something that they obviously need. I mean, not to discount John Tavares, but Joe Thornton's got this little, extra. And I think, the fact that he took a discount and shows the commitment that he's willing to make. He wants to win a cup, right? Every single person talking bad about them, like I had to log off Twitter because I was like cracking my knuckles. I was ready to go to war.
Were you really doing this one?
Yeah.
Were you doing this one?
I was sitting there going, okay, I better put the phone away. Yeah, absolutely. Because, that's a problem too with the younger hockey generation. They don't really know the history. But I mean, Toronto, buckle up, baby. You're going to have some fun.
700,000 for Joe Thornton, Sarah Ayres was like, and when I saw that yesterday, I thought, well, no one can be unhappy with this. Like nobody can. He's still a terrific hockey player at the age of 41 years old. But people fucking lost it yesterday. It was great.
Well, you thought it was a win-win. I remember I yelled out as soon as I'm walking up the stairs and I looked down at my phone, TSN showed it. And I was like, I yelled it because I was like 700,000, like you can't go wrong. Nobody can complain. It's not over $1 million. No. Like, look at what we did with Spezza. And I love Spezza. That man has all my respect in the world. He is such a fantastic human being. And it's the one thing we're missing with this Leaf organization for the last few years is we haven't had those veterans. And to know that these guys are sitting there and they're going to come in, and whether they play 40 games, whether they play, I don't even know what the season's going to consist of next year for games, but just knowing that those guys are on the team, it's so exciting.
Hey, did you, something to this article that we have these guys that do this thing called Hockey Dummies, great guys. And they put out a little post saying, hey, rumor, call it what it is. It's a rumor, but like the core four apparently hasn't matured as much as they would like, as the Leafs would have liked to them mature. So they're surrounding them with guys like Wayne Simmons, Wayne is not the most loved man in the NHL for any other reason than good reasons. Wayne Train is Wayne Train. Wayne is going to turn that entire culture inside out. And then you tack on Zach Bogosian. Same thing, Zach Bogosian. He's a big, mean son of a bitch who respects the culture and the game of hockey, and he knows what leadership's all about. He came off a cup win. People shit themselves about Zach Bogosian. He's terrible. We did made a bad hockey decision. They get Joe Thornton for $700,000. Like, I hate this team. It completely sucks. But you can kind of see what they're trying to do, which is let's give these guys some examples. Let's give the core some examples of leadership and see what fucking happens. And the way that Kyle Dubas, who, by the way, I don't know how people can hate Kyle Dubas for just trying.
Oh my God, I love him. He's awesome.
Have you ever in your life seen anybody take so much heat for doing a good job?
You know what? If he was in a city like Carolina or like one of the southern states or something, this never would happen. You would never be hearing. There's no finger pointing when it comes to Kyle Dubas. This is the Toronto mentality, and like I love my Toronto Maple Leafs, but the Toronto media. Oh, you can't. They could win a cup, and somebody's going to sit there and shit on them for winning the cup, like one of the fans. So it doesn't matter. You're in a lose-lose situation. I think
you could have won it in game 6, but you had to take it to game 7. It's
exactly.
it's like, I mean, like I see a lot of people ripping on Nylander, and he's also one of my favorite players in the league. Not a Leaf fan,
not mine.
Player, but like he gets better every season, and everyone trade him, get rid of him. I'm like, I'll take him in Pittsburgh or San Jose. Come on over. You know, like it's like you said, Sarah, about the Toronto mentality, and that mentality affects players too.
Oh, it
you know
does.
I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's one of the hardest markets to play in, but everybody wants to because it's the hockey capital of the world.
They're a great organization. Like they treat their players above and beyond anything, right? So it's like these guys want to come here. I guarantee you, main reason they don't want to is the whole Toronto media thing. Imagine going to work in the morning and missing a shot or missing whatever, and then you've got 5 reporters that are sitting there saying how shit you are, and then you turn to Twitter, which half of these guys, I don't even know how they have Twitter accounts or social media to begin with.
You wouldn't happen to be talking about Steve Simmons and maybe Bruce Arthur and maybe Dave Feschuk again?
There's a couple other I'd name in there too, but I can't. So,
I'll do it. You're better than that, but I'm not.
I'll send you a text message with some names.
Thanks.
But yeah,
thanks. I need some more conflict in my life. Thank you very much. Sorry, but the media, you're right. Continue. Media. We like to take or not we, because I'm not media. I'm just a fucking blogger with the biggest blog in Canada. But media, traditional media, and Bruce Arthur said it was funny because when he was shitting on me the other day, where he didn't name me, that's how much of a pussy these guys are. Like Steve won't tag me in anything, Bruce won't tag me in anything, but they'll say that guy who's getting all the clicks and trending in Canada, he's a worthless piece of shit. And so what I do is I go, that's not true, Bruce. My family loves me. And then everybody's like, Bruce, you're a fucking prick. How dare you say that about a guy?
And you really do love it.
I totally do. I get like this fucking this inner jolt of excitedness. It's like finding out that I'm just getting ready to run a 100-meter race and I know I'm probably going to win. Let's just get it on.
That's the mentality that a lot of people have.
Yeah.
On social media is, go for the throat kind of thing, call out whatever they want and have no regard for anything. Like this is where me and you kind of clash a bit, Dean, and I still love you and respect you. But the whole like calling out people, like the public shaming, I kind of like walk a fine line on that. But if you did do something bad, you just do deserve to be called out. And I mean, going with the theme of today's meeting with Haley, but I mean, so many people thrive off putting other people down or calling them out in ways that they don't need to be, like on
go ahead,
on what they're wearing or who they like or what hockey team they like, for example. You know what I mean? There's just so much hate stemming.
You see, so while the world burns and we're sitting here talking about, how people gaslight and divide with shitty tweets, is it wrong for me to have really vengeful spirit, one that, but I reserve it for only the worst of the worst, because I have this inner Satan that needs to go out and play in the park once in a while. Like, it really is. It's like this inner, like, fucking, I think I might just murder someone with my words today. I don't know why. I just want to. And so instead of like going after people, because I never went after Haley. That wasn't my intention. I simply pointed out this is an issue. I don't go after people personally when they don't deserve it, because I know one thing. I know Haley probably was shitting her pants for about 4 days after that thing. And I felt bad about that. I thought, the result of all of this is someone was probably sweating for a few days, wondering what life was going to be like. And that wasn't my intention. But when it comes to real assholes like Steve Simmons, I feel like it's a chance for me to take the dog out for a run. Do you know what I mean by that? Like, it's an opportunity for me to say, okay, Revenge Dean, which is buried in here in the dark parts of my heart, and I'm sure all of us have little dark parts inside of us, he gets to go out and take this revenge truck for a fucking spin. With guys like Steve Simmons and Bruce Arthur and virtue signalers like Eric Engels and people who, those people that are just truly wrong about assessments, and guys like Steve Simmons. Steve Simmons has never said a fucking positive thing about the Leafs, and I'm pretty sure the only thing in his mind when he wakes up in the morning is, how can I make Kyle Dubas feel like shit about himself today?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And so I take great pride in, I think Kyle Dubas, I've never met the guy. I think he's doing his job. I take great pride in sewering those people. And I don't know why. Is that a bad thing? Am I part of the problem?
It's kind of like, okay, so Kelly Clarkson, she did this thing on Twitter for a long time where she would call out bullies and the assholes. So, I mean,
can you be an asshole about someone being an asshole?
I mean, an eye for an eye.
Look at Sarah. I love both of you so much. You're both like, I would love to say yes, but because I mean yes, but I don't want to say yes.
I think
no.
I think it kind of, I don't know, because oh, it's so sticky. Your integrity makes you want to sit there. And my favorite thing is, we got such positive feedback when everything happened with Dave in the game, but then there was a couple people that, because my Twitter followers went through the roof, and there was a couple people that were like, oh, you're riding your husband's coattails or whatever. And those people were the ones that I get a kick out of being articulate. And if you ask me in person a question, I'll sit there and I'll fumble my words like crazy. But if you put a keyboard in front of me, I just try to kill it with kindness, but a little bit too much, kind of thing.
Rhetorical kindness, Sarah?
Yeah, I want to make it hurt just a tiny little bit.
You know what? We're all the same.
But it's one of those things, like with Steve Simmons, when you sit there and you're out for blood and you're hurting people. Like, you know what? You may have a computer screen or a phone in front of you. There's a person on the other end of that phone or that computer screen that's reading this stuff. And Dean, I don't know how you do it, because there's a lot of negative feedback when it comes with you too. And
Did you read some of it? Did you read some of it on?
Yeah, I read some of the stuff. You know what? Part of me is like, you don't fight fire with fire to that extent. You don't add gasoline to the fire. I don't think the name calling, there's no need for it. Like, you know what? Step up, be a better human being. And if there's a point you want to get it across without sitting there and name calling and telling people to go jump off a bridge or to do themselves in. Like, that's shitty. You wouldn't tell your kid that if they turn around and did something like this or something negative. So,
and in no way would I take that advice anyway.
No, but
like at any point in time, just so everybody knows who sends me an email or a tweet telling me to kill myself or to eat shit or go F myself, all three of those things I am incapable of doing. Mm-hmm. And I don't plan on doing it. So it's not like I'm going to go, oh, well, that's it. Johnny 3695. It's the fourth one today. I guess I better go jump in the lake.
That's what I always say to people too. It's like, you never know what personal battles people are going through. And you could really be the straw that breaks the camel's back. You know what I mean? So you got to be careful how you talk to people online. And I mean, I keep thinking to myself, my mom called me and was like, can you check on Dean? Is he good? Can you make sure he's okay? And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, Dean's got the skin thicker than steel, like nothing penetrates him. And then I sat and I thought about it, and I'm like, there's got to be a part of it that kind of like sits with you and say, can't I mean, like, are you okay, Dean? I got my mom's been bothering me to ask you.
Miss, what's your mom's name?
Nancy
Schafero. Am I saying your last name right? Is it Chefero?
Yeah, that's fine, but her last name's Wilson.
Nancy Wilson from the band Heart. Is
Yeah.
your mom's the lead singer of the band Heart? Is that incredible? Barracuda. Is that your mom?
No, I think she's named after her though.
That's incredible. I love Nancy Wilson, voice of an angel. Tell Nancy Wilson that I am not only fine, I'm better than I've ever been, because I have an understanding that life is not a guy named Dom Lashishin on Twitter from Detroit, who I've never met before, who writes for The Athletic and makes $700 a month. That's not where my self-worth is. My self-worth isn't in someone taking something out of context, and no one else should self-worth. So your self-worth should be firmly based in what you know are your truths. And my truths are that I wanted to do a podcast today with two really, really smart people to help me understand, is there a way to navigate this? Can you be more sensitive when you do it? And the answer is no. Yeah, the answer is you cannot effectively call someone out for making a false accusation if that person is a female. You can't. And I'm okay with that. Because at least we've had this conversation and we've put it on the radar. Do you know what I mean? Like, at least we've been able to say, okay, I think that's a false accusation. The other part of this is the subplot. People on Twitter are the worst. I already knew that. So my self-worth isn't wrapped up in how people treat me when I ask a question. That's neither here nor there. If I did something wrong, if I was hateful, if I had said something really mean or nasty, or if I had debased Haley Salvian's job and her efforts, or if I said, generally speaking, vague generalizations are for people who ought to shampoo my bag, by the way. They really are. And I'll explain why. Because you don't lump an entire group of people into one category when one person from that group may or may not have done something stupid. So this isn't an all women problem. All women don't do that. All women don't do X. All men aren't like Y. All black people don't do B. Certain people do certain things, and we talk about them because of the heat in the moment. And here's the other thing. For all those silly people that sent me tweets calling me names, not only does it not bother me, I forgive you.
Ooh.
I'm taking the page out of the Sarah Ayres school of how to fuck people
Way
over.
to be. Bravo.
I forgive you, number one. And number two, it's okay that you're wrong. There's a reason why you're like, take for example, Bruce Arthur. Bruce Arthur, his thing was, Dean's a sexist dick. His life is worthless. And there's a reason he's not in real media. I did some research. We had 10.5 million page views over the last 3 months. We had 4 million page views just on that day from people that were somewhat salty with us. Bruce Arthur doesn't have 2 million people read his stories in a year. So I'd like to, challenge what real media is, and those people that are still in real media that we talk about that are destroying the opportunity for guys like Joe Thornton to come here and play for the Toronto Maple Leafs. They're just bag washers. That's all they are to me. Right. And so we have to put them in that place, that perspective of bag washing. But it is amazing watching. It is amazing to me watching the sea change of what you can and can't say, what you can and can't do, and watching people divide each other on Twitter. It's fucking phenomenal to me.
It's exhausting, actually.
It is. Yeah.
It's exhausting.
Do you ever turn your notifications off?
I've never had my notifications on for anything other than my phone ringing and text message. Everything's off.
Sarah, you too? Notifications
Oh,
off?
exactly. No, they're off. They're always off. Yeah.
Are you still getting a bunch of perverts from the United States asking if they can slide into your DMs, or is that stopped?
No, it's pretty much settled down. You get the odd message every now and then. Somebody posted the other day that, oh, what was it? I forget. I posted. Oh, it was that Zamboni that was, or sorry, the Olympia that was on fire. It wasn't a Zamboni.
Oh, just spoken like a true wife of a Zamboni driver.
But somebody put something, and they wanted I just put hashtag not my husband, because everybody under the sun was tagging me in it.
Yeah.
And some guy put, the only hot thing in your husband's life is you. And I was like, I'm done. Wash my hands. I'm out of here.
Hey, there's that part of it too, where you guys are like legitimately professionals in an industry and human beings, and there's still those meatballs out there going, hey, Jen, looking good. Hit me up. I'll get you in the DMs. I love your hockey.
I can't even tell you how many unsolicited dick pics slide into my, just some of the stuff that comes in on a
You
daily.
get that a lot still? You get the dick pics a lot?
Me?
Yeah.
Daily.
Oh.
It's not, but I have a solution. I have a picture someone sent me, and it's massive. So anytime I get one, I send this picture back, and I'm like,
picture of what?
A bigger
penis,
much bigger, beside a ruler. On the table beside a ruler. It's like 13 inches long.
So that person that sent you the picture of theirs is questioning their own life after you send that one back. That's a fucking great move. That's almost like the Crocodile Dundee. That's not a penis. This is a penis.
That's it. Oh, it's fun.
That's, I've never understood that. Like I don't. This is why I feel bad for women too. In that sense, I feel bad for women that put themselves out there on Twitter that are just trying to have a good time and enjoy themselves, and and all of a sudden, you tweet out something about how you wish the Penguins would have beat the Montreal Canadiens. Some guy's like, oh yeah, here's my dink.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm like, I've never thought that. Like when I've seen a tweet from someone, I'm not, you know what they need after sending that tweet is a picture of my rod. I see tweets and I go, oh, that's interesting. But that isn't fun. That wouldn't be fun. Like if I woke up, if I put out a picture of me and I was standing with my husband in Carolina, or I was just coming off the ice like you, Jen, after a practice, and I'm like, had a great day today. Love the family in Carolina. I love being a hockey coach. And you go to bed and you wake up fresh and you check your phone and it's like, hey, I loved your tweet. Here's my wiener. I'd be like, what the fuck is going on here?
Nobody wants to see it.
No, nobody does. I don't even like looking at mine. I don't.
It's just one of those things. That's an ego stroke. That's all it is. People just want the ego stroke that's attached to it, kind of thing. So it goes back to validation.
Yeah, I guess so. But those guys aren't listen, ladies, and I say this as a white man who grew up in a home where if I even called my mom her or she, I woke up 5 minutes later. That's how much respect you had to have for my mother and for women. And you carried bags. Like I grew up, it's funny because the way that I grew up, I thought was a gentlemanly way to grow up. And then I find out a little later on in my life, actually it's pandering, right? Like that's what I'm a big fan of like, hey, honey, let me grab that for you. Or can I help you with something? If you see if I saw my ex-girlfriend struggling with something, hey, can I help you carry that? Or can I do something for you? And that wasn't me saying, oh, you're weaker than me, so I need to be able to carry these groceries. That was me saying, hey, you're my partner, and can I help you? Mm-hmm. But you can't do that.
Somebody tweeted that.
I've noticed that.
Yeah.
Somebody tweeted the other day that somebody opened a door up for her and she was extremely angry and she could open the door herself. And it's like, I taught my boys since they were little, like you open the door. I don't care if they're male, female, who they are, you open that door for somebody. And we were downtown Toronto. We were actually going to a Ryerson men's hockey game. And I took the boys shopping beforehand, and he was 14, held the door open, and he came running up to me. Guys were going through the door, females were going through the door. He came up to me and he's like, Mom, not one single person said thank you to me. And I said, bud, all you need to know is that you held the door open for those people. I said, it's unfortunate they didn't say thank you, but you were the one that held the door open for those people. And we can't go backwards. Like we can't go backwards. I'm going to teach my boys to be gentlemen for as long as they can. I'm going to teach my daughter to be a lady for as long as I can. And the rest is up to them. But I don't know, as long as my kids don't set out and attack people or degrade people or demean somebody's worth, I think we're doing an okay job.
I think so too. And that's an individual thing, right? Like you can only, we have world changers out there. You want to change the world starting with your family, and you hold things to be very important to you, the way that you grew up and how you want to continue to raise your kids. But we're at a point where the way that we were raised, we're all basically of the same vintage. I'm older than both of you significantly and look way older than both of you. But, we the way we were brought up isn't how you should be bringing kids up anymore. If you're to believe what we're told, right. In terms of, bringing up young men to be gentlemen, that's not cool anymore. That's the feeling I get. That, saying, case in point, Jennifer got on today. I was talking about her hair, how great her hair looked. I'm like, am I allowed to talk about hair? Or I'm being serious. Like,
no, it's
am I allowed
true,
to say, hey, Sarah, you look beautiful today. Can you say someone looks pretty? Can you say someone looks as a man? Are we allowed to, in an office setting? The last thing I'm going to say, and I used to say it all the time, hey, love what you did to your hair, or hey, is that a new shoes, or you look great, or you look happy today, you look fresh. Like, those are things that I grew up saying to people because I'm a nice person, not because I'm a dick. Holding the door open for women or children. I hold the door open for everybody. I don't care where you are. I'm like a door holding freak. I'll stand there for 5 minutes.
Me too.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah,
no problem. Go ahead.
When do you cut them off?
Yeah, you don't. And then you see the rush of people coming in behind those people. You're like, oh fuck, whatever. But I don't hold the door open for them. I hold it open for me, because it makes me feel good that I'm helping them. So I don't care if I get a thank you. Much like you said, Sarah, as you are doing the right thing, but is it the right thing anymore?
I mean, at the end of the day, we need to be good to one another. Doesn't matter age, color, background, any of that stuff. We need to be good to one another. And that, if that's holding the door, and most of us women love compliments, Dean. So give the compliments.
I don't think they do. I think you guys do, but I think it's slim pickings out there outside of that. I think women, how we've been told, how we've been told, and I do want to understand. I just want to put this out there for context. What we've been told is now the currency of the realm is, do not compliment a woman about how she looks. No matter fucking what you do, you cannot, because there's a trap here. There's a trap game. The trap is this. I'm going to say, ladies, you look great today. Great to have you. It looks like you both got up and went for a run and stuff like that. Now I'm uncomfortable saying it, right? Like, oh, you both look like you've been up for hours and you're ready to take on the day. Well, what do you mean? Wasn't I ready to take on the day the last time you saw me? Or hey, you both look great today. What do you mean today? What about the last time? What didn't look great the last time? No, I am just paying you a compliment. So
that's just a miserable person. You're dealing with a miserable person.
So how do we compliment women then safely? There's the question. Help me.
Then you do it like you just do it anyways. I mean, like, what do you want? Just never tell a woman she looks fine.
No,
we don't like that. You look fine, honey. No.
Good or good? Is it an inflection thing? Like, should we be going, hey, you look good?
I mean, I make an effort to compliment every single person that I cross in a day on something that I like about them. Male, women, child, right? Like if it's kid, oh my God, I love your shoes. They light up. So cool. I like to spread happiness. I like smiles. That's my drug of choice. When someone smiles back at me, I feel fulfilled. So, I mean, you're going to cross people. Some people just are miserable. They're just miserable. And there's nothing you can do or say that will change that, because that's the choice they have to make within. So, I mean, you might get some people saying, don't talk to me or don't look at me or this, that, and the other. But I think you should just continue to hold the doors and spread the kindness, because at the end of the day, that's what's lacking in the world these days. It's kindness.
and common
It's
sense. Sarah, the great part was that you're talking about the tweet that the lady's name was Unbiased Kate. She's a journalist, the woman who said, don't hold the door open for women anymore. Her name is at Unbiased Kate. I know that for a fact because we did an article on it. And that's what led to her account getting suspended and actually removed. But she was like, you know what she said? And this is the part where I'm like, she can't possibly be speaking for all women, because I'm at this discovery stage of gender relations again, right? Where like, she's like, she literally said this: do not hold the door open for women. It is demeaning for women. And there's no difference than holding a door open for women than putting a collar on a dog. And I'm like, okay, this has got to be a trick, right? Like, someone watching me reply to this email right now or this tweet, like if I'm okay to reply to this one and go, she's fucked, right? Like, that's a fucked thing, because because I'm up in the air, because now I'm really seriously, confidently questioning whether or not everything I know about how to be a good human being is wrong. Don't you fucking hold that door open. And I'm like, okay, I won't. Okay, no doors. I got it. No doors. And don't you tell me I look good. Okay, you don't look good.
We're gonna be a bunch of robots soon.
Yeah.
And that emotionless robots. But I think with everything, I think it comes with a grain of salt. And I think each person's an individual, and whether you're passing them in the street, I think as long as you're doing the right thing, the noble thing, you just keep doing that. And you don't, I'm such a huge advocate for integrity. And
Me
so,
too.
yeah, that's your integrity. That's who you are as a human being. And if you going out doing good things every day, that's you. And whether people are receptive or not, you just go and you do them anyways.
It sounds like both of you are kind of where I'm trying to get to, which is, this is a real shame we're here, but you do you, and we'll meet on the other side when you're done being a fucking tool. That's sort of the vibe I'm getting from both of you today.
Well, I should say that going back to the door holding thing, I worked at an ice cream truck just down the street from the Scotiabank Arena, and I used to go to the bathroom in the West End, and I'd hold the door.
By the way, I saw that you fed a dog an ice cream cone this summer on your Twitter feed, and then I saw all these dog warriors go, "How fucking dare you give your dog lactose?"
Yeah, that was fun. Good thing it wasn't my dog. But going back to the, I was holding the door, and about 5 people went through. Everyone said thank you, no one said thank you, and I just closed the door, and the next person's. I was just angry, right? Because I do it all the time. And it was a bad day for me. The second time I went to go to the bathroom, the sales were down. I was in a bad mood. And I literally waited extra for this guy. I held the door, right? I waited a little longer than I should have. I could have closed it. There was time. And he walked through, and I just lost it. And I just grabbed him by his wrist and pulled him back and closed the door. It didn't hurt him.
You're not going through this fucking door I'm opening.
Yeah. So after that, I was like, okay, this whole door thing, I've got to decide. I open it right now. There's just like 100 people, and
you didn't. Most people, Jen, will just go in your situation. Would just go with "you're welcome." No one grabs the prick and pulls him back out and shuts the door on him. And says,
it wasn't hard. He came with me. It was like I was like, he was like, oh, I gotta go somewhere. So it wasn't aggressive, but
it was. But listen. Here's where I'm at. This is where I'm at with everything. We can sit in here and make sense with everything, but to tie it up in a bow, this is where I'm at. We have to take people's word for it, but we need to check for receipts. Number one. Number two, we can speak our truths in as much as we interpret them. That's okay. That's a wonderful thing to do, for people to speak your truth and interpret. But the most important thing that I am trying to come to grips with in the environment that we live in, and I don't know if I'm there yet, it's continue listening. Continue listening to all parts, because there's fallout from conflict, right? Yeah, I don't know Haley Salvian. I know that she probably had a really rough few days. Did I have a rough few days? Not the point. The point is, what are we doing with this conversation? And where I'm at is that we're going to allow those people to soft their way out of a good reputation. Like the people that are faking gender, discrimination, the people that fake false accusations, they'll eventually ratio themselves out, and it won't have a whole lot to do with how we feel about ourselves. because it doesn't, the things that people say on social media, things they say to us in response to the things that we say or do or our opinions shouldn't matter if we're not being hateful. It shouldn't matter if we're not being assholes. It shouldn't matter. It really shouldn't. And I hope that people take a little bit of confidence in their decision making through that process, because we're all verbal people. We want to have conversations, right? But I don't want to have conversations at the risk of hurting someone who's been going through something, as you pointed out, or battling something that we can't see, right? And so who knows why someone does the things that, Haley did? Who knows why she leveled a false accusation about gender discrimination? I just thought it was time for a conversation, about other things associated with what happened around that involvement. And the great part about this is I got to sit down on a Saturday morning with two people I respect and whose company I enjoy and whose opinions I value more than most. And I really appreciate that. You guys are both incredible people. And I want to thank you very, very much for your common sense and also stepping on Steve Simmons' bag while he was down. That was a lot of fun.
As a tool.
I wonder about guys like him or Bruce who take it in. Like every time Steve writes something, he trends and it is vitriolic. It's like everybody hates that guy. And I'm like, he's got to be on medication or something.
One would hope.
Anyway, Sarah Ayres, thank you very much for spending some time with us. Please keep us posted about the Disney movie. Still easily one of my favorite people, and you are my favorite story of 2020, by the way.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
100%. Appreciate you being here. Jennifer Schafero. She blogs for us at deanblundell.com, and she is a truth seeker, and she's also a light. So please follow her at Shoot With Authority on Twitter, at 35 Ayres, if I'm not mistaken, on Twitter as well.
I think so. I change it from time to time. So.
Do you really, to get away from the crazies?
Sometimes, yeah.
And all the wiener pictures?
Yeah.
Just so you know, that'll never happen for me. The only thing I'll send you guys is, hey, what's up? Anyone want to do a podcast? I'm never going to go, you know what? I'm going to tag that with a picture of my genitals just for fun. It's
greatly appreciated.
Yes.
You're welcome. Thank you very much, both of you, for your time today and your common sense. And I wish you well. Enjoy your Saturday.
Thanks.
Likewise. Thanks. It was great meeting you, Jen.
You too, Sarah.
Thank you very much. You know what, guys, it takes strong women to be able to, it takes strong people to be able to speak their opinion. It takes strong women to be able to speak their opinion. And not just women, it's everybody. Listening is a really important exercise right now. And you can't make an informed decision on your own happiness or how to navigate, the social bullshit that we all go through without being okay yourself. And that's really, really fucking important. You can weather any storm if you know who you are. And being accountable to doing the right things and speaking the truth instead of making shit up in a fucking time where we're screwed. This is a difficult time for a lot of people. So dealing in fact is the most important way that we're ever going to make any headways. It's the only way we're going to move forward as people, is by telling the truth. And it's not about fucking being right or wrong. It's not about winning a Twitter war. It's not about trending. I don't give a shit about any of that stuff anymore. Does it help? Yeah, huge. Do I write controversial stuff and have these weighted conversations because I'm interested in them? 100%. I'd be fucking stupid not to do controversial stuff for clicks, because I want people to see these things. We are in the business of trying to shine a light in shitty corners and make sense of it and make people all feel fucking normal, whether they make a mistake or not. I have nothing against Haley Salvian. I don't care that she or anybody else makes a false accusation. I care that we have conversations that are based around fact and truth, instead of denying other people fact and truth, instead of telling other people that their opinions don't matter because of the color of their skin or because they're white or black or female. Those things don't matter to me. They shouldn't matter to you either. What should matter to you is telling the fucking truth and representing yourself with integrity. As you've heard both Jennifer and Sarah talk about, integrity is it. If you don't know the truth of who you are, there's no integrity there. So accountability and truth should be at the top of everybody's fucking list, especially in media. One of the things that drives me crazy about real media, and it has for a long fucking time, is that there's this opinion that because someone writes for a fucking newspaper, or someone works for a television station, or someone works for a company that says Bell or Rogers or whoever it is in media that own all of these companies, that you're instantly better than everybody else. You're not. You're not. There are people out there that podcast and struggle. There are people out there that blog and struggle. There are people out there that deliver good material and know just as much, if not more than you. I would put both of these individuals, Sarah and Jennifer, up against any one of those performance tweeting douchebags that worked at any one of those outlets, because they have some common sense, they know the game, and they're not full of shit. Performance tweeting, grandstanding, soapboxing is the least most attractive character flaw that you can have today. It's the worst. So tell the fucking truth. Don't send people cookies who did something wrong. That's how I feel. Thanks for listening to the podcast. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget, sign up for Owner's Bucks today. The podcast brought to you today by Owner's Bucks, North America's premier fantasy sports website and sports platform. Sign up today. Use promo code at our website, which you can click on, deanblundell.com. You get a $50 free deposit to match. And we're all in this weekend. Huge, huge matches. We got 16, we got 8s, we got 4s, we got 2s. So get on it. Go to Owner's Box right now, register, and take their match deposit offer of up to $50. It's free money. You're stupid not to. Thanks to our friends at Blue Microphones. Blue Microphones, the microphone and podcasting and broadcasting, the official Blue Microphone sponsor of deanblundell.com and all of our podcasts and blogs, 22 of them, which you can get at deanblundell.com right now. Thanks to Ed's Fine Imports. Gitch, he's got him. You need him. Who doesn't? Sarah, does David need Gitch?
He does need Gitch. He
does
always
he?
needs Gitch. Oh my God, yes.
If we set, does he wear the briefs with the pouch in the front, like the one that has the separator, or is he like a tighty whitey guy?
No, it's kind of like the tighty whities, but it's like, I don't
Boxer
even want to
briefs?
say, yeah, it's boxer briefs, but they're the
Boxer
tight
briefs.
ones, but they have to be 3-inch. They can't be 6-inch because 6 inch is too long or something along those lines. So,
Oh my God, we've got the 3-inch Gitch. He will
Do
love
it.
him, dude. I'm gonna get him, and there's like a Canadian made brand. They're called Gitch. It doesn't get any more Canadian than that.
oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah, and it's got the pouch in the front, so it's like a tree fort
Yep.
for your stuff, right? And it keeps everything breathing and moving around and keeps stuff separated, which is really. I don't need Jennifer. I'll explain it to you later. We need separation down there, otherwise it's just a messy pile. So the thing is that I'm going to send Dave, and I want to find out if you like the Gitch and if he likes the Gitch. But they're incredible. You can get 4 for the price of 3. I'll send them to you for free. They're like luxury underwear. They're luxury.
Oh my
Does
gosh.
he
more
want
excited.
luxury?
He does. I'm more excited about this right now than he is. It's like my main goal is to get him the perfect Gitch.
Well, dude, they have them, and I'll make sure they send them. Ed's Fine Imports, Gitch. It's its own brand. We're going to make sure the Ayres family gets a whole bunch of Gitch. It's going to be great.
Amazing.
We'll send some for the boys, too. They'll love the Gitch. It's incredible.
Oh my God, I'm so pumped. That is
All right,
awesome.
done. I need your address. I'm sending Sarah Gitch. I'm going to hang up. Jennifer, thank you. Sarah, thank you very much. It was an honor to spend some time with you guys this morning, and I mean that. So thank you.
Awesome. It was fun. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Take care. Jennifer Schafero, David Ayres, Jennifer Schafero, and Sarah Ayres, as we say goodbye to both of these powerhouses. Thank you very much for doing that. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon.
Ciao.
There you go, folks. That's how you do that. You have a conversation. More people should have it. Thanks for listening to the podcast. You can join us at deanblundell.com. Sign up for us at DeanTube and everywhere you get your fine podcasts. I'm done talking. Have a great day. Bye.